Have you ever come across anybody whose entire life seems to be falling apart, yet they're joyful? From all accounts, there seems to be no hope, and yet in the midst of their challenges, they seem to have a peace. They seem to be content. They have an unexplained, deep-seated joy. This is Paul in Philippians. If you remember, he's in Rome. He's imprisoned in a home under house arrest, and he knows if he loses his case, he loses his life. You can read about it in Acts 28. But despite all this, rather than being anxious, rather than being fearful, rather than thinking, woe is me, please come to my rescue, Paul is writing out to others, encouraging them with upbeat and positive notes. I've always loved the book of Philippians. I have several favorite passages and verses in it. Like you, I'm sure you do as well. But when I step back and I remember his situation at the time of writing, when I understand he faces death when he writes this, I got to sit back and go, whoa, God is good. Paul knows joy. It is a state of peace and contentment that comes from a deep faith in God. So let's listen to some of the statements that he makes in Philippians. I thank God for you every time I remember you. And then he says, this is my prayer, that your love may abound more and more. You see, Paul is not thinking or worrying about himself. He's thinking about others. He does not even fear his own death. In verse 13, he says, now as always, Christ will be exalted in my body, whether by life or by death. For me to live is Christ and to die is gain. In chapter 4, he says, rejoice in the Lord always. And again, I say rejoice. But it's in chapter 4, he shares his secret. I've learned to be content, whatever the circumstance. I know what it is to be in need. I know what it is to be in plenty. I learned the secret of being content in any and every situation, whether well-fed or hungry, whether living in plenty or in want. I can do everything through him who gives me strength. Paul's secret is Jesus. It is in him he finds his joy. It is in him he has strength to face whatever comes his way. Yes, even facing death, he has not lost his mojo. He is still an inspiration to all those around him. Even the soldiers, the guard that are guarding him, are talking about him, about his faith and his joy. It's undeniable. Paul said, I can do all things through Christ who gives me strength. The strength and attitude of joy comes from within. For you and me, it need be no different. We can do all things through Christ. We can face our biggest challenges, our biggest fears. We can be threatened, we can be mocked, we can be sidelined. But when we know Christ, we know we can do all things. We can get through all things through him who gives us strength. With Christ, we too can find joy despite the circumstances of our life. If you've never found that joy or you've lost your joy, Jesus is waiting to lavish his love back on you. He's willing to help you find that joy. You may have tried everything the world has to offer. You may have found pleasure, but found joy to be elusive. You may consider yourself a prodigal, but like the prodigal son, the Father can't wait to lavish his love on you. No matter how hopeless the situation, it's not so bad that you can't find Christ and you can't find joy. Want to find joy? Start by talking with God today. He's listening and he's ready and he's waiting for you.